Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Strong and the Geek podcast.
By welcome back, are you implying that that we were on a commercial break?
No, I mean that everyone that watches this program has either previously watched it or I'm only welcoming their backs, so they got to turn around right now.
And by watching me listen.
Yeah.
That too.
They're going to watch the wall and listen to the podcast because we're only playing to their backs.
Or they play it while looking at our social media websites, and they're just like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, this is meta. Anyway, I am, as always, your host, Ben Ramirez. With me today is my special co-host, not Sir Patrick Stewart.
I am not Patrick Stewart, but like the actual Patrick Stewart, I also do not age.
Yeah.
I have been bald since birth, like most babies, but the hair just never grew.
Yeah, what is it with him? Did he find like the fountain of not exact youth?
No, this is what I think it is. I think it is he was born with Benjamin Button syndrome, but he had corrective surgery as a baby. Unfortunately, it didn't cure his Benjamin Button syndrome. It just made it the rest of his life. He didn't ever get younger. It just stayed.
Are you sure he wasn't born in like 1887 and was bit by a vampire when he was like 49? So he's just like perpetually a guy that has male pattern baldness.
Yeah, I'm wondering what vampire would have bit him though, because if it would have been like the Robert Pattinson out of Twilight vampire.
I don't want Patrick Stewart to be a Twilight vampire.
Yeah.
What do you think, Al, who happens to be with us on the podcast today?
Yeah. Go ahead.
We do have another guest here, our good buddy Al, the media man.
So, ladies and gentlemen, give a loud round of applause for Al, our media consultant / good friend / journalist extraordinaire.
Woo. Yay me!
That's a pretty lofty title.
Yeah, that's the longest title I think I've ever received. Normally, it's just like crappy journalist or unemployed journalist or wannabe photographer or something. So,
Al, the unemployed journalist.
Yeah,
so
I
like that one better. Fuck you, Al. From now on, you're the unemployed journalist.
Yeah, if anybody is looking for anybody to write anything for them, then.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Using Strong and the Geek
as a
to
platform.
advertise yourself. Yeah. The Strong and the Geek does not endorse, nor do we support the actions of Al, the unemployed journalist.
Yes, only follow Josh and Ben on Twitter. Don't follow me or reach out to me, please.
So, Al is joining us because, of course, as we'll get to later in the show, we had the wonderful, extravagant, and, dare I say it, unbelievable opportunity to go to Baltimore Comic Con.
You dare?
Is that not? That's not a word, is it?
You said nair.
Nair, like when you put on your lights and your hair off?
Dare I say.
What? Oh, man, I must be smoking a crack. But, yes.
Smoking a crack.
Nair may I crack smoke. We had the opportunity to go to Baltimore Comic Con, and Alexander here got to join us for not only the opportunity to see what Comic Con is like with the one and only Strong and the Geek, but also, Al, how many Comic Cons had you been in your life prior to this one?
0. This was actually my first Comic Con.
It was a Comic Con cherry that has been officially popped.
We deflowered you.
Sex.
And also took you with us to Comic Con. But they're unrelated events.
We took his ripe virginity.
And Al, right out the gate, before we move on, how did you feel about it?
I really wasn't sure what to expect at first. Like I had like kind of a rough idea, like comic books and people. I knew people dressed up and everything else, but I walked in, it was almost kind of sensory overload. Just so many different colors and different, obviously like booths, like people selling things and people walking around. It was loud and fun and
sounds, shapes, smells, tastes.
Yeah, it's like being at a bazaar in another country. You know what I mean? Like going to all the different market stands. But then they all speak the same language, so that's okay.
Right.
Yeah, but it was, I think one of the things I wasn't expecting as much was just everybody was just so positive, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It was like nobody, I don't even think, just everyone was just positive, no bad vibes at all. Everyone was just very appreciative of everybody dressing up and, you know.
Yeah, you never see people like hating on each other at a Comic-Con. Like everyone knows that they're there for the same reason, and it's a lot of fun.
And that's the thing is that even if you're not necessarily there for the same reason to an extent, like some people go just for the cosplaying, other people go just to buy stuff or whatever.
Yeah, but they're still part of the same community.
It's the same culture. Exactly. It's a beautiful thing.
Although I will say, yesterday I went to a fantasy football draft party, and while we were there, waiting for the draft to start, we were talking about Batman. And I was looking around and realized that everyone was contributing to the conversation, and I stopped the entire conversation. I said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry that I need to stop this right now, but can I just point out how awesome a time it is to be alive, that we are waiting to start our fantasy football draft? Normally, comic books would not be discussed here. You know what I mean? This would be like dudes talking about beer, yeah. But we are all super excited to talk about Batman.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go draft fantasy football. Like, we live in a day and age right now where it doesn't matter what you're into.
Yeah.
People just accept you for being into it. Unless it's like killing things or like sex with animals.
Yeah. Well, and I think that kind of
furries though.
And I think that
that's a whole nother.
Yeah. But I think that kind of permeates the entire culture of the cons too, you know?
Yeah.
But first things first, before we even get into our entire rundown of all the things we saw, did, the people we met, not the people we did, we don't talk about them on the show. But all those sorts of things from Baltimore Comic Con. First things first, happy Labor Day, everybody.
Oh, yeah. I went into labor this morning.
I know, the day of labor. So, as we normally do on this show, when for whatever reason we spend a holiday recording as opposed to hanging out with loved ones, because I don't love you guys, I have a game for us to play.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, are you interested, Al?
Of course.
Are you interested, Beardo?
Well, I've been outvoted, so let's go for it.
Valid. All right, so here's the rules of no-named Josh cosplay game. So...
dude, Hasbro is not going to pick that one up.
Well, TM.
It's all about the name.
It's already trademarked, so...
You got to call it, like, Bajingo.
Well, after we have... Actually, here's what we'll do. After we have the game, we'll put out a Twitter poll, and we can, like... People can vote, or something.
Okay,
we'll find
enough.
some way. People can vote what the name will be. And if they vote, like, the Go Fuck Yourselves guys game, that's it.
I'm going to make that one of the options.
Yeah, all right. So here's how it works. In honor of all the wonderful cosplay and things we saw at Comic-Con, the game is this. All you have to do is think of two things. One... a cosplay you would always, like, your dream cosplay, if money and creativity, none of that was an issue, like, what you would do and how you would do it, just a brief explanation of what the costume might look like or so. And then that's round one. Round two, the lightning round or bonus round or whatever, is what is a cosplay
second round.
Yeah, that too. A cosplay that if you did, you think would look absolutely just ridiculous, and you probably would be an idiot if you pulled it off.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't ask you to do something I wouldn't do myself. So, starting...
Number one.
There it is.
Round one.
I know.
Ding, ding.
The cosplay of all cosplays for me, which I have never seen or encountered, if I could do, would be BoJack Horseman. I would make
Oh, you mean those guys that just wear horse heads?
No, but I would get one that is exactly a good... just like BoJack's actual head with his, like, brown, with his little white diamond stuff. But I would make it not just one of those rubber horse heads. I'd make, like, one that, like, the mouth could actually move.
Oh, like articulate, maybe eyes
make it
move.
two pieces. Like, the bottom is connected to my bottom and my mouth, jaw part.
Oh.
And the top, so that, like, an eye talk.
And that's true. BoJack doesn't actually look like a horse. He has very human eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're front-facing, and they're not just, like, giant orbs.
Right.
So...
I would want to do BoJack, and then obviously get the sweater and the sports coat and the jeans and then the red Converse. Actually, he doesn't wear jeans; he wears like green pants or something. But and then have my flask and a whole bunch of like drugs and
a couple prostitutes
and shame, a lot of shame.
Yeah, but they can't see that on your horse face.
Oh no! You've watched the show? Yes, you can.
Oh no! I mean, so your articulated costume horse face is going to be able to look shameful?
Yeah, I am going to do it in a way that, like, I would, I don't know, paper mache or whatever, in a way that you'll look at his face and be like, oh god, yeah, he is a conflicted, washed-up actor who is responsible for Sarah Lynn's death.
Oh, yes, Sarah Lynn.
Oh, whoops.
It's okay. I haven't seen the show yet. I've watched the first episode probably 3 or 4 times on Netflix, and then I just kind of forget to continue watching it, and I'll watch like Breaking Bad, the entire series over again or something like that.
And then you'll watch the first episode again?
Then I'll say, oh shit, I really should probably, I'm allowed to swear on here.
You can swear.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'll say like, oh shit, I should watch BoJack Horseman again, because I'll see somebody tweet about it or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then I watch the first episode, and then I get distracted and go to work, and then forget to pick up the second episode.
Well, you'll get into it.
You know what?
It's on my list.
You should do the same thing for every episode of the show. Instead of like watching a
Rewatching
show
the first
and then
one.
watching it again and then watching it again, just watch each episode like 9 times before you move on to the next episode.
Yeah. So that way you can quote verbatim like every line from every episode.
And then, like, when we talk about it, you'll be not Al, the unemployed journalist. You'll be Al,
The
Jack
BoJack
Horseman.
Al Jack Horseman.
Oh, deal.
All right, Al. So moving on to you, I picked BoJack. What do you think?
The one that I would want to be.
Yeah,
your ultimate cosplay.
If you could pull it off, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be like this is hypothetical. So if you were gonna say like a Ditto and just be a blob with no bones or some shit, yeah, you could pull that off. Like whatever you want.
Let's say you have a team of professional like movie costume makers to make your cosplay.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously it's kind of a cop out to say like Batman or something. Like that's kind of like the easy answer, even though I grew up obviously liking Batman. I think kind of more along the cartoon lines. I was watching this before I came here, and I see a little button sitting here. We got a SpongeBob SquarePants button. I think it'd be cool to be Squidward.
Oh.
Like to get all of the arms that would move and like all 4 legs that would.
Ah,
And the
okay.
big floppy nose.
Because your nose is already pretty floppy, but to make it bigger would be difficult.
True.
Yeah.
So you think like your legs would be 2 of the legs, and then 2 more legs would be like robotic?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to
sweet.
actually have like 4 legs that moved, and then obviously the 2 plain arms with the suction cups.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And you wouldn't even have to learn how to play the clarinet because your character would supposed to be bad. So.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
would just sit there and just blow into it and not really have
Right.
have to learn the clarinet or do anything else.
And you could have some sweet props for that. A clarinet,
Yeah.
a leaf blower.
You would need
Remember
the
he
yellow.
had the leaf blower
You would
in
need
that
the yellow
episode?
contacts for his eyes. But,
Yeah. I could
Yeah.
just make like a I really, really wish I weren't here right now button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have the Krusty Krab hat like in your on your
Like
person
you don't
somewhere to
actually
put
wear
on
it.
when you need to go into work. But then
I
I think that'd be cool.
I don't know. Like I was SpongeBob a long time ago for Halloween. Like we used a like a mattress pad.
Were
type
you
thing.
Were you ready?
I was ready.
Okay.
I was, but I don't know. I've always seemed to relate more to Squidward.
Yeah, me too.
I think most humans can relate to Squidward more than because SpongeBob is just like what a sponge happens to be if he like dropped it in a pool of wet meth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah. He's
That's
so
very-
an interesting way of
He's
putting
so
it.
very
such shit up,
absorbent.
yeah. All right, Benji. We got a Squidward and a BoJack. How about you round it out for us?
Okay. Now, follow me on this one. This is going to be a bit strange because it's going to break with reality a little bit.
Doctor Strange.
No.
Okay.
I would want to dress up like a little boy. I know that sounds weird.
Great start. Go ahead.
I want to dress up like a little boy. But when I yell Shazam, like a curtain comes up and a group of people change me really quick into Captain Marvel.
Right, that would be cool.
So they drop the curtain and I'm just like puff out my chest.
Right.
You know what I mean? Obviously, the way I really want is I want to be able to yell Shazam and I'm just in costume.
you just want magic. Like,
Yeah,
you just want magic powers.
I want to be Shazam.
Right.
But that being said, I think it'd be awesome if at any point in time I just yelled and then I got an instantaneous wardrobe change.
Right. I think one way to maybe pull that off is when your son, like let's say like a couple years when he's like 6 or 7, have him walk around and then when he yells like Shazam and then like drops to the ground or something and like sneaks away, scurries away, and then you like pop out and like if you guys trained well enough, you can, or he drops like a smoke bomb or something.
Yeah,
middle of the
let's
con.
bring smoke bombs to Comic Con.
Worse things have happened. We got kicked out.
We're gonna get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
No, what I was thinking was that I would go in dressed like a kid, whatever, backpack. And then when I say Shazam, someone runs up with like a hula hoop that has like a shower curtain on it, so it like I disappear.
Yeah.
And then I quickly like pull off the shirt and whatnot, and I'm wearing the Shazam jumpsuit underneath. And then in the backpack I just have a cape, throw it on, and then they drop the hula hoop and Shazam is here.
Right.
Make sense?
That'd be cool.
So that would be my Shazam-tastic cosplay.
So round 2, the one that I think would be like stupid or ridiculous or just like I would kind of like for doing it I'd be like
Round 2, ding ding.
I'd be like I kind of hate this. I might have to go with the poo from Earthbound, like the big pile of trash and
yeah.
poo. Like I would want to like go around and have a way of emitting actual poo and trash smells. So maybe just shit my pants like the whole day. I just feel like that would probably be pretty unpleasant.
Oh, yeah. You'd have a hard time getting around unless the majority of your body was, like, on a cart.
Yeah.
Or, like, on some kind of wheeled system, because he's a lot wider than he is tall.
Right. So for Al and those who have never played Earthbound, at one point in the game, you encounter an enemy that literally is just a giant pile of like shit and
garbage.
sewage and
Yeah.
garbage, and that's the boss of that area.
Come to life.
So I feel like that would be one that'd be pretty, pardon me, shitty to do.
Ooh.
You're not pardoned. That was awful.
All right,
Oh,
fair
yeah.
enough. It was a garbage pun. Nothing. Crickets. All right. All right, Al.
I'm thinking kind of like I'm trying to think practical here. Like yesterday obviously was my first Comic Con. It was super crowded and everything. So I think being Jabba the Hutt from Star Wars would be really awful.
Just really inconvenient to everybody.
It'd be like you would have to take up the entire aisle
Yeah.
to do. You'd have to like make any like to turn around. You'd have to do like a 3-point turn because you can't just like
that's
it's
true.
not even like you can turn your
Right.
head or do anything.
And you got a tail hanging off the back.
Exactly. You take like 10 feet because your tail's so long.
Yeah.
So you're talking strictly dressing up at Comic Con.
So you'd be like paper mache,
like
Jabba the Hutt costume, just sitting on top of you while you're like on a hover round or something.
Yeah.
Either that or like I mean the rules are like if you have like the best makeup artist or something.
Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
Like literally anything. I think if you were a life size like Jabba the Hutt, that'd be awful to try and like
Right.
maneuver or do anything, and you wouldn't be able to see much.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to.
And you can make
talk,
it. You can make it even
obviously,
more offensive by dragging around a girl wearing a metal bikini.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
chain
I was going to say,
collar.
it's like nobody ever addresses that Jabba the Hutt was totally like a sexual deviant slash like
slave owner.
Slave owner,
Like,
but he
sexual deviant. Yeah, sure.
but no.
He owned slaves.
No, but he definitely wanted. No, but he wanted to like sexually assault Leia, like go and pull her up.
And how could he even be attracted to her? That's different species, man.
Dude,
That'd be like if I saw a beetle and I was like, oh man, I want to touch my wiener to that beetle.
right?
Because I can put my dick in a beetle. There's not a single beetle that big.
Well,
I'm sure you could probably
Small.
find a beetle.
Yeah.
Whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Don't judge me. Anyway,
So we got Jabba, we got the big pile of shit. What do you think?
I'm detecting a bit of a theme here.
Yeah.
Just big, gross piles of gross. All right. So, for me, now, hear me out on this one. What I think would be the worst possible cosplay is if you played as either Mr. Fantastic or, even better, Plastic Man.
Okay. Or elongated man? Or?
Yeah, but already elongated.
Okay.
So, like, you have to walk on stilts, and you just have, like, really long tubes dragging
Like
behind you
stretchy
everywhere you go.
arms, yeah.
So, like, you can't undo it. In fact, you could even, be on stilts, but then using a tube or whatnot, make it look like your neck is hanging down, and then your head actually just comes out of his stomach.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just, like, a giant, weird monster that you have to keep balanced the whole time you're
Right.
there. And you're dragging stuff behind you, tripping people and whatnot. Trying to get up the escalator, for instance. Yeah. So, yeah, I think if you were, like, Mr. Fantastic or Plastic Man, and I don't know why, like, that, in my mind, was, like, the worst possible idea was to be on stilts.
Right.
All
day.
Yeah, all day at Comic-Con.
And then you can't even use your hands, because you'd be holding these, like, tubes.
Yeah, exactly. Like just like dryer tubes.
Oh, you look so great. Take our card. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I can't.
Like, I'm here for the panel. Please give me 30 minutes while I sit down.
Yeah. Does anybody have, like, a reverse one of those English torture chambers that stretches you out? Like, whatever the opposite of that thing is? Put me in the freezer. I don't know.
So, like, so like Stretch Armstrong or Plastic Man or whatever, I think if you are going to make a costume that's just you in that costume, that's fine. But if you're going to be like, what happens if his powers went wrong? It's going to be a really bad costume.
Yeah. That's why I think being a stretchy guy would suck.
Yeah, well, not if, like you can do it for sex stuff, I guess.
No, but didn't they make that joke in the Fantastic Four movie that he said, like, they asked him if, like, all of him is flexible?
Oh, yeah, they're talking about his dick.
Yeah, that's not cool. Like, I wouldn't want to be, like, lying in bed, like, Sue Storm lying in bed, and, wow, what the hell are you doing, Reed? Like, while he's in the bathroom.
Well,
like,
yeah, but I mean, like, when you're laying next to a girl and you kind of knock on the back door, hoping she'll turn over. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. In that case, you just be like, whoop, right around the front.
All right, fair enough. Moving on. We're gonna move on from Reed's.
I hope you guys didn't tune in, kids.
Reed's stretchy. We warned you. We warned you in advance. So unfortunately, I think it's time we talk about our Geek of the Week, and there's a reason why I say unfortunate.
So this week we lost one of the greats, the man, the myth, the legend, Gene Wilder, and that's really upsetting. Actually, we were just talking about Gene Wilder a couple weeks ago on the podcast.
We were Willy Wonka.
Yeah. He was a fantastic actor, and apparently, I was actually just listening to a thing where they were talking about him yesterday. Apparently, towards the end of his life, he was suffering from Alzheimer's, but despite that, he still wanted to like get out and like meet people and whatnot. So like he would walk around and kids would be like, "It's Willy Wonka," and he'd be like, "I am Willy Wonka," and he's just like, it didn't matter. He was still in it. And it's great, he was in so many great films, and he was such a fantastic actor. There will never be another Willy Wonka. I don't care who they cast in the role. I mean, it's Gene Wilder.
Yeah, I agree. Posthumously, I'm honored to give him the award, but he will be surely missed.
And sorely missed.
No.
And narrowly missed.
And I probably will have to go back and rewatch Willy Wonka now.
And Blazing Saddles.
I noticed that, as a matter of fact, on iTunes Movies, Willy Wonka, the original, is in the top 10 right now. Which definitely probably correlates with that.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine that wasn't just like, it happens to be in the top 10.
Well, you never know what happens.
So, there it is. Thank you for everything you gave us. But, on a brighter note, let's move on to Baltimore Comic Con.
Woohoo! Woo! Can I just say, out the box, and I don't want to, totally tickle Baltimore Comic Con's balls, but this was the most fun con I've had.
Yeah, it was legit.
It was very good. Al,
I agree.
Al, you can probably share
it was
share
too
that
legit
sentiment.
to quit. Now, we haven't ever been to, like, San Diego or anything, so, grain of salt there.
So if all you guys who haven't listened to the San Diego episode, see that and are like, holy shit, we weren't actually there.
Hey, you know what? Sponsor us, and next year we'll live stream from San Diego. Give us all your money, people.
Yeah, do that. Do what he said. And don't hire Al for your news
shameless. Instead of him, give us money.
So I think what we should do, to kind of handle talking about all the things we saw, all the different booths and all the people we met and all the cosplay and stuff. Obviously, we have our unofficial cosplay contest, and we'll save that for...
The officially unofficial cosplay
Yeah, we'll save
contest.
that for the end, because, obviously, the coveted Strong and Geek, no monetary prize, best cosplay prize is coveted.
Yeah,
so we'll save that for the end. First things first.
And that way they have to listen to the entire episode.
Oh, yeah, or fast forward, I guess.
No, we'll shimmy it into the middle so they don't actually know where it is.
So first things first, let's talk about some of the booths that we stopped at, we visited, some of the fun stuff we got to see. I would like to mention one thing, first off and foremost, that all three of us got to do. Virtual reality once more, haha.
Oh yeah, the Temple University virtual experience.
So Temple had a 3D goggle set that you put on, and it was basically a tour of North Philly, which, I mean, I love Philadelphia, but nothing too exciting. But I must say, it was actually really cool.
No, yeah, before you mentioned it, I was gonna say that that's probably my favorite booth. Like, I've obviously seen the virtual reality stuff, but I've never actually, experienced it or done any of that, and it was just crazy how realistic it was and how, I mean, I know it's Temple, which is kind of but...
Bias. No, it was, I mean, legitimately, I've kind of been a critic of the idea of, virtual reality without trying it yet, being like, well, that's stupid, it's just the next 3D fad. But it is really cool.
No, it was incredible. It was just so lifelike.
And funny story from that particular booth, when Josh put on the VR headset, I was messing with him.
Asshole.
So he's got his headphones on, he's got the VR headset on, and I would just come up and just touch under his chin or just brush his cheek. And at one point he goes to swat my hand, and he just knocked the faceplate off the visor, and it shot across the floor. And at that point, the girl working the booth looks over at me, and I'm just got a sheepish grin, and she goes, "Don't touch them when they're wearing the headsets."
I mean, to be fair,
and I was okay, I'm sorry. I'm a child at heart.
So the first couple times, it was just a little brush across my face or something, and then a tap on my shoulder. So I wasn't entirely sure if it was the girl, because she was standing right in front of me when I put the headset on and the glasses or something. So I thought maybe like that's what they do, like to like mess with you, like that's something they'll do. I didn't think about it. But then when it was like tickling my nose, I was like, "That's Ben, get the hell out of here!" Accidentally knocking, the visor off.
Now, also while you're doing that, I had a fun little conversation with a couple of the people working at the table with for the Temple University, giving out like where they were handing out the stuff. I was like, "So, what is he doing right now? Is this the Temple University experience? Like I thought it's got to be a game, right? It can't be." And they're like, "No, it's like 20." I'm like, "So he's just like Temple University experience. You put on the headset, it shows you your bank account. You feel sad. You go to a football game, you feel disappointed. Like."
Does it have 911 on speed dial as you're walking around the campus?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, Temple. In any
It
case,
smells like beer and cheesesteak.
yeah. Right. But you guys had a really cool booth, and that was fun.
It was fun.
And we won buttons.
We did. And right next to, so moving on, right next to the Temple booth was the LASIK Vision Institute booth.
Yeah.
Which,
because when I think Comic-Con, I think corrective surgery.
yeah, and well, both of you guys entered their contest to win free LASIK, which that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because I have a really bad astigmatism, which you just learned is a word.
I thought it
is a word.
I thought it was a stigmatism. Like someone has one stigmatism, so you could theoretically have two stigmatisms. No, it's astigmatism is the whole word.
Yeah, you can have an astigmatism.
So, you know, going to Comic-Cons always makes me realize for how smart I am, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that
I would agree. Thank you.
Well, there you go. I'm hoping they can do good work with an astigmatism because I have the astigmatism.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
I also have a single astigmatism.
Yes, right.
So
That is.
I'm hoping I win this one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's all right. If I win, I will let you have one of the eyes.
Oh, beautiful.
So you can get one eye corrected. I can have one eye corrected, and then we'll just wear like matching eye patches.
Okay, I was
We
going to
cover
say.
up the bad eye.
Yeah, that works. I was going to say it would save money on like contact costs.
Oh, that's true. You just pop one
Just
in.
pop one in,
And then if
just have this eye.
Your eye
okay.
gets dry over the course of the day, at least only one of them's dry.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's okay.
Golden.
That's golden. And then if you cosplay as anyone that's like, because you know how many characters have like one bad eye from a scar or whatever.
Yeah, like Nick
you
Fury.
Yeah, you pop the
just,
contact in that one, or you put an eye patch over that eye because your other one's good. That's fair.
You could be Deathstroke. Just he's missing an eye.
Yeah. Rumor about that, by the way. Ben Affleck tweeted out a little thing with some test footage. Deathstroke might be in his
solo Batman, right?
The
Batman outing.
Right. So another fun part of Comic-Con, always a good thing, and lots of the booths we got to see, is actually meeting writers, both independent and more, lesser known writers, and also big names, big writers, and big.
We did meet both of those things.
Also, so first things first. Let's mention Mark Mariano. Is it Mariano or is it Mariano?
It's I assume it's Mariano, but I didn't learn his genealogy, so I can't tell you for sure.
Well, he's a cartoonist, and we stopped at his booth for a little bit near the end of actually.
We also met his brother Chris Mariano,
which we'll tell a funny story about in just a second there. But his cartoons were really cool. They kind of had almost like a Happy Tree Friends, only without murdering and raping each other vibe.
I would say they look very like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Yeah.
It's cartoonish, but I think I really like the style.
Yeah, I liked it too. Al came with us the second day, and Al, you didn't get to meet Mark. Excuse me. But what do you think, looking at some of his stuff right here?
I don't know. Like he said, it kind of reminds me of Foster's, which I haven't actually. I didn't even remember it was actually a thing until you just brought it up. But
I watched it with my kids.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But
interesting.
Yeah. But we also met his brother Chris, who is not an artist,
right?
But he was there to help them out. And when we passed by, there happened to be something on his table that we noticed that said, "Give me $1 and I'll draw a cartoon of you in crayon."
Right. So I offered him 4 quarters.
Now, mind you, that wasn't his sign though.
No,
that was for the artist he was there with,
right.
Which actually wasn't his brother. It was another Chris.
Right, another friend of theirs.
But Josh was like, "No, I want you to do my picture for $1."
Right.
So Josh gave him 4 quarters. And I love this guy because he asked Josh so many questions
about
what are you into? And Josh is answering, and he looks like he's jotting it down. He's like, "Oh, really? You're into this too?"
I mean, to be
And-
fair, I was answering like totally like joking. I knew what he was doing.
Right, but like as he was like nodding, like, "Oh, okay." And what about this? Are you into that? He's just drawing a stick figure. Like the whole time, he's just drawing a stick figure, and what he has you ice skating and eating sushi, right?
Sushi and ice skating because I've never ice skated, but I told him I love sushi.
Although I do gotta say, you look like in this picture. First of all, you're wearing a nightmare clown mask.
Yeah.
You are holding a bowling ball, and you are standing on 2 teacups.
Yeah, but Chris, honestly, I loved it. I kept it, and I will cherish it for all time.
We're gonna get a tiny frame for that.
It truly is beautiful. So thank you very much. We loved meeting you guys. I know one of you all mentioned like, wow, you guys are like you're so high energy, and we were like, yeah, man, we just love Comic-Con. We also just had like 2 beers, so some correlation between the two.
Yeah, drinking the drinks.
Yeah. So a writer that one of the tables that Al and I got to stop at is Ben Kahn. He's a writer, and we got to stop at his table.
Kahn!
And we were told about his stuff, and so I thought this was really cool. One of the books that he does is about, and the name escapes me unfortunately, but I'll go back on his website and look it up. But it was
sure it's not Kahn?
No. But anyway, it's about, so the joke is, you know how often comic books the characters get killed off and then come back and killed off and
Yeah,
come
they're
back,
all
killed
like,
off,
they
come
all
back.
have cheese.
The shaman.
The shaman, that's
Yes.
right. And so his graphic novel is about this character shaman, who's the guy who sends them back from the afterlife back into the comic book world.
That's a great
and
idea.
and he determines for which heroes and which villains, like who to send back and
Yeah.
stuff.
And like how long it takes them to come
Right.
back. It's like, no, Superman, you have to wait a year.
or whatever.
Yeah, so you have to do this. So
Yeah.
you have to, you know.
And
What a great idea.
Well, we were flipping through it. It seemed really cool, and I mean the art was good. He's the writer. He doesn't do the art, but I mean the whole thing looked really cool, and the concept was awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, love that. Another artist that we saw, actually, it was the guy that our our friend Chris was there with. Another Chris Giarrusso, is the artist for the G-Man comics,
right.
which is just a really cute, kind of superhero story. A little kid who's he's G-Man.
Yeah, and but it's cool because the artwork kind of has almost like a Billy Batson-esque vibe, and some of those
I was gonna say almost like a variation of Astro Boy.
That what I was about to mention. Yeah, a lot of those American cartoons that are very influenced by old anime. It's got that vibe, but it's cool. I liked the art, and he was a really nice guy, so it was cool to meet him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Al unfortunately didn't get the chance to meet. And you know what? I'm just gonna call her Angel because her whole name I would butcher.
Oh yes, Angel, the cat artist.
The cat artist. Yes. So
she's a good artist.
she's
I'll
a
give her that.
great artist.
Her paintings are beautiful, and they're all of cats in costumes.
Yeah, and so
I missed this.
and her
Yes, you
yeah,
did.
Al, it's too
Damn.
bad. And her trope is that it's so they're all cats in different, obviously nerdy costumes or things, and all the names of each piece are cat puns.
Now some of them they have a harder time getting to.
Right.
For instance, the kitty cat Thor is just Thor, but he's holding Mjolnir. Instead of Mjolnir.
Very good.
In fact, the hammer just says meow on it. And
Right. And they had pretty much everything you could think of.
So is
I
it
mean,
something like Superman kind of
oh
thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
that's
be
a good
good.
one.
I don't know if they had that, but
there
that's
was
a good one.
Captain America.
Yeah,
Okay.
There was Catman.
that was pretty straightforward.
Freddy Catter.
So
There was some that weren't superheroes. There were other things.
well, we posed the idea, and they just talking to them about suggestions. I told them I think they should do the human body of one of the characters from Cats on Broadway, like in the human cat costume, but with an actual cat's face.
Yeah, like
I thought that'd be ridiculous.
yeah, like Mr. Mistopheles in like a cat in Mr.
An
Mistopheles.
actual
costume.
cat, yeah, because in cats you could clearly tell they're just humans. So.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty comical.
So awesome artwork.
We also got to meet Dr. Nerdlove. So
Oh yeah.
I must admit, Harris O'Malley, he is a writer and a dating coach, and Al and I, so Ben wasn't there, this was yesterday, Al and I got to meet and talk to him for just a bit. Al, would you like to break the bad news to our listeners, or should I?
I don't know which bad news you're talking about.
We already talked
Oh.
about Gene Wilder.
Dr. Nerdlove isn't an actual doctor.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah. To be fair, he did put it on his card that he is not really a doctor.
Oh.
However, I was a little disappointed. But you seem to enjoy talking to him quite a bit.
He seemed like a cool guy. I told him that he needs to go back and get his doctorate just for,
Actually, you know what?
credential's sake.
Kind of.
exactly.
This is
But-
something I've been wondering, and it's kind of on the same point as the Shaman comic, the guy who's in it. What, like, college or institute is giving doctorates out to all of these supervillains?
I've wanted that forever, man.
You know, they clearly have sociopathic, like, behaviors.
Right.
You don't think one of those professors is like, I think this Otto Octavius is going to turn out to be a bad guy, right?
Well, here's the thing, okay? So for all of those villains out there who actually take the time and effort to get their PhD, good on them. That's a tough process. But the ones who are just calling themselves a doctor, like, I'm Dr. Destiny, for no reason, you can actually get sued for that. That's falsifying your credentials.
Yeah, or Dr. Fate is not really a doctor, he's a weird otherworldly being.
Egyptian-based sort
Um,
of thing? I don't know.
although maybe he got a doctorate in being ancient spirit
Yeah, what
magic.
the equivalent is. But anyway, we don't want to discount our man, Dr. Nerdlove.
No, he seemed like a nice guy.
Our PhD candidate, Nerdlove. Maybe we'll call that.
Perfect.
He had a few books written, and they're also his whole spiel is he gives dating advice for like nerds and like it kind of like the books are all about how to meet.
But when he says nerds,
partners
he
and
means more like socially awkward people.
No, I think, but looking at how the books are written, it's kind of in like a joking style, but also like legitimate advice
Okay.
like, for people in the community. And sometimes the nerd community traditionally is considered to have maybe more difficulty finding a date or being more socially insecure. So I mean,
That's stereotypical.
I think that I'm just saying. I said generally, and that is the stereotype. And so I'm assuming
It is a
that's
stereotype, yes.
where he perhaps got the idea from.
Fair enough.
And or maybe he's met a lot of people who told him, hey, like you love nerdy stuff and you're a dating coach, you should write a book that incorporates them both or something.
Well, Dr. Love, all jokes aside, sounds like it's some great works.
Dr. Love is a kiss.
Sorry, Dr.
It's Dr.
Nerdlove.
Dr. Nerdlove. All right.
Well, so, like one of my favorite parts, something I want to talk about was there's a booth with Webtoon, and it's a company that's in line with DeviantArt. And they created their own app. It's like a comic book reader, which is nice. And it actually is vertical instead of horizontal. Like normally most of the comic books apps are you have to like swipe horizontally to like flip the page kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of brutal to try and do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a bunch downloaded on my iPad, and it's hard to even read. Like obviously I prefer picking up like a normal book.
Right. No,
But,
this was totally way more user friendly. Like when he was showing it off to us,
Oh, completely.
it was like, yeah, that's way better than whatever Comics X, whatever that app does.
Yeah, and it's like vertical, so it's like if you're reading like an article online or something, you know how you just scroll up and down like that. It just had one panel across, and it would just go down, so it made it a lot easier to read.
And he made a good point that like we're kind of naturally with our phones have learned to do that. That's like the natural flow. So how the other apps are is stupid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it makes it hard to read and everything. But this one is vertical and everything else, and they actually have their newest thing. They're looking for. It says here that they're looking for the next generation of creators. So they actually
should be checking out hospitals and like places where there are babies.
Yeah.
Get them started young, like Disney.
No, what they were doing was at their booth. So they had a contest going on where like you could go up and draw your own panels and
that
stuff.
That was pretty cool.
And and they actually were trying to find like good talent and stuff. But the other thing they did, which Al and I were talking to them for a while, is that they kind of go on like DeviantArt and that have people like undiscovered comic book artists and writers and stuff submit them stuff.
Exactly, and if you have somebody that gets a lot of like followers on their DeviantArt or on this Webtoon app or anything else, they'll actually give them like start to pay them and start to like produce some of their
work.
Of their work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
And
then they
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they also worked with some bigger name artists and writers and they had like their featured sponsored artists.
Mm-hmm.
So they would also have that stuff. So I mean, you have the app and you have the ability to discover both undiscovered works, guess discover undiscovered.
Discover the undiscovered.
Yeah, but also have access to perhaps works from big names who aren't publishing necessarily through DC or Marvel or whatever.
Yeah.
This is like their side projects and
And
stuff.
I gotta say, their booth itself was really cool.
Yeah,
it was one of those that you could spot from like anywhere or from most
The
places on
entire
the floor
convention,
because it was taller than everything else.
Right.
And it had all those like video screens showing off what people were drawing. It was
Right.
very cool. One thing I wanted to point out was a really cool dude I met named Andre at Heritage Comics HSQ.
Mm-hmm.
He is a comic book writer and a costume, like cosplay costume maker.
Right.
He was showing me one of his comic books for a character that he has called Reaper. And he said, last year I came dressed as he goes, every year I create a character to cosplay as. Like, it's just a character of my own design. And last year I got such a good response from this character that I actually wrote a comic book for him. And that's this comic book right here called Don't Fear the Reaper. And it's a very Batman-esque looking character.
Right.
And I was like, nice. This year he was wearing a very like high-tech, he almost looked like a Transformer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he actually showed me that he built it on top of using a like Iron Man like helmet and like a BMX armor, and then doing like painted all black.
That's awesome.
And then did using foam and whatnot, plating over top of it. So he looked kind of like one of the Transformers or like some kind of a robot, but he used like some simple stuff as a base. And he actually does custom work. So if you need like a helmet made paper mache or whatever, he had several of them for sale there.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to give him a shout out. He was also there with his son. And a couple others that we talked to for a while.
Right,
The guys wearing the Robin shirts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Was right there.
I also wanted to mention, so I got to meet Daryl Taylor from the Gotham by Geeks podcast and a bunch of the other crew who the podcast they're associated with, like their whole gang pretty much. And they were actually, it was while we were, Al and I were at lunch yesterday, just having a couple beers across the street and stuff. They were there having lunch, so we were chatting for a bit. And I didn't even notice, but they were eating with Tom King.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so he was like, oh, yeah, by the way, that's Tom King right there. And I was like, get the shit out of here. And I look up, and I'm like, yep, sure enough, there he is. And so I was like, oh, hey, Tom, how's it going? So got to meet Tom and them at the same time. But we definitely will check out your guys' podcast. Obviously, I have a big bias towards Batman, so a Batman podcast sounds right up my alley. And hopefully, maybe if you guys ever check out Strong the Geek, it'll be right up.
What was the name of that podcast again?
Gotham by Geeks.
Gotham by Geeks, a Batman podcast. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, we did.
And a shout out to you guys. I hope your content isn't lame, because I haven't heard it yet, and I'm giving you a shout out.
Yeah. So if your content is lame, go fuck yourself.
What if they just got on there and the Gotham by Geeks podcast is just like a neo-Nazi propaganda platform?
Oh God.
Right?
Yeah. With a Batman twist, though.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just like, we will be the Batmen
Yeah.
of the Bat super race.
basically like the mutants in Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
The Gotham in America belongs to the Gotham by... Oh, it's the Gotham by Gaslight. Gotham by Geeks.
Gotham by Geeks.
That's something else. Okay. All right. It's time to address the elephant in the room. Earlier, we mentioned that we got to meet some writers and big name writers and big name artists. Yeah. We need to talk about one big name artist that we did get to speak to.
One of the biggest names.
Who we've met before, but this time it didn't go so good.
You've met him before?
So well.
Yeah. So last year at Baltimore Comic Con, I had the opportunity to briefly meet Neil Adams, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, by briefly, I mean like I talked to him for maybe like a minute and a half, 2 at best. But it was awesome, and I was like, holy shit, meeting one of my kind of like heroes almost. This is great.
Yeah.
So this year, we saw Neil once more, and tell him what happened.
Okay, so we happened to pass by, and Neil did not have anyone at his table at that particular moment.
It was early.
Yeah, it was very early. It was first thing in the morning. And so Josh and I were like, oh, we gotta talk to Neil Adams.
Right.
I mean, this guy has all of his work, his table was like 4 square tables. He had other people working just to sell off his stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
really quick. Oh, and if any of you are wondering, like, why the fuck didn't you ask him for an interview? It's because right before we were about to start talking to him, these guys kind of cut in front of us with a camera and their thing, and maybe they're a podcast too. So, since we don't know who you are, go fuck yourselves. No, I'm kidding. But they were like, Mr. Adams, would you mind doing an interview with us? And he was like, oh, guys, this is the worst time for that. Like, if it were before the convention, or maybe see me at the end of the day if I'm not too tired. But no, not right now. So the second he said that, I was like, yep, not going to mention that.
so here's what ended up happening. We get up there and we start talking with Mr. Adams, and it became kind of clear that I don't know if it's that he just doesn't want to be there, or if that he's just kind of sick of talking to people that are like fans, because he was kind of a dick.
I mean, okay, we're not going to say on the air, actually, that the Neil Adams is an asshole. Of course not. What we're going to say is, Neil, you kind of were an asshole.
Right?
Like,
So to be specific, first of all, I tried to rib him a little bit.
yeah.
Well, first what I did was I asked him when he started illustrating.
Right.
And he was like, well, what do you mean? That's an unclear question. And I was like, well, like, when you started doing it professionally, I don't really care about before that. Like, and he was like, you don't need to chastise me.
Yeah, he
Who uses the word chastise?
So it's just okay. Yes, he was exhausted, but it was only day 2. If it was Sunday at 4, I get it. But it was
This was first thing Saturday morning. He had just woken up.
But it's funny because I got the vibe that he was, and Al, I wish you would have been there. You'd have loved it. I just got the vibe that he was like the uncle at like 6 p.m. on Christmas who's had a little bit of eggnog and at this point just fucking over it. And it's like, the kids got their toys. Let's just go to bed. Like he's seen some bad things in life. Like that was just how he came across, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the way he was talking and whatnot. It wasn't like he was specifically saying very rude things, but it was just kind of snappy. Like, move along, guys. If you're not going to buy a book or have me sign something, go away.
Right.
I'm not really interested.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I feel like when I get the vibe, and I understand, obviously they're there to sell stuff. And Al, you and I talked about this kind of briefly yesterday. They're like, yes, they're there to sell things, but like half the fun is also just getting to meet them, and they have to know that.
Exactly.
They have to know that fans want to talk to them, you know?
Another thing that happened that is just something that I don't like is when people, and I mean, be proud of yourself, that's fine, but when you talk about yourself and you're talking about all the good stuff you do, it's like, fuck you! Tell us again about how good you are.
Right.
So, like, when I asked him about him being professional, he's like, well, when I started, it was a really bad time to be a comic book artist, but I reshaped the industry.
Which you did.
And I was like, don't, what a douchey thing to say.
It's like okay.
I'm winning with my words.
Yeah. Like it's like Abraham Lincoln never said, "I saved the Union, motherfuckers."
Yeah.
People wrote that about him.
When you're walking away from a fire, you don't look back and be like, "I am a hero."
But interestingly enough, I think it goes back to your point, Al, and I think this is kind of what took us back the most, is that yes, the energy there is so positive, and everybody's so chill and nice, almost everyone you meet, that just was like, took us back, especially because last year he was really friendly too. You don't expect that.
I mean, obviously, like we said, I wasn't there, but I feel like, from what I hear, like, that probably made it worse. Right. In a way, because everyone else was so positive, like, he stuck out more.
Yeah.
It made him seem worse than, like, maybe he actually was.
Because he is the one, out of everyone there, he is the one that changed the industry at the time. And that's why it's like, God damn it, man.
The funny thing is, like, as we turned to walk away from the booth, all that was running through my head was, oh no, I did something wrong and made Neil Adams angry. And then you looked at me and said, he's kind of an asshole, right? I was like, oh, thank God, someone else caught it too.
Yeah, like, and listen, like, I love Neil Adams' work, all of it. So when he said that, like, I looked at you, I was just like, holy shit, is Neil Adams an asshole? Like, oh no, damn it! Don't ever learn how sausages are made, because it really just grosses you out then.
Yeah, do we have more shout outs to do? Yeah, we still have a bunch. All right.
Well, just you're talking about whatever you can.
I was gonna say, speaking. I mean, we're gonna get back into shout outs in a second, but speaking of delightful assholes, we went to the Michael Rowe panel. You remember that? Look, he seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, can we preface this with one of the greatest honors you can have in the Strong and the Geek is have us call you an asshole, because we're all assholes.
Yeah, like if you listen to this, we're not saying it to be mean, but when you come in with a pop collar, drop your coffee, say what's up everybody, and then tell us about how the first time you shot a gun, you hit a bullseye so perfectly that nobody could tell that you would hit the target.
God destined you to be dead.
Yeah, dead shot. You gotta admit, like, you're kind of an asshole. But that being said, when I asked you Michael Rowe played Deadshot on the series Arrow.
On Arrow.
And he also played a small role as one of the security guards on Godzilla. So when I went up to ask you a question, I said, given your work with Godzilla, I want to know what he's like in person. Because in the media you hear that Godzilla's a bit of a prima donna, but I'd like to know what it's really like working with him. And to his credit, he picked it up immediately.
He totally rolled
and was
with
like, oh, you know what? In person, he's actually a really cool guy. The media doesn't give him credit. I think I remember him saying something about like him being an immigrant. So
Yeah.
I mean, like he's not from around here, so people don't really get him.
He requires a whole oil tanker full of tequila to get a buzz. So but sometimes he slurs his words and messes up his lines afterwards.
And he's got really bad breath.
Yeah. That was pretty funny. He rolled with it pretty well.
Yeah, so like he's a cool guy, but he's also super full of himself.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, I mean, to be fair, to be that successful and cool
and attractive.
Yeah, he is attractive.
He's super attractive.
He is Michael, you are a cutie.
Yeah. Although, funny thing is, when I first Googled his name to see what like the rest of his IMDb was, I typed in Michael Rowe, and the first thing was Michael Rowe your boat ashore, and then and then underneath was like Michael Rowe the actor.
Right.
So you just got to be a little bit better so that you're over the children's like Sunday school song.
Right. So that was Saturday. Sunday, and what had happened actually was that it was supposed to be Candace Patton was supposed to be Saturday, and then I guess things happened, so she was moved to Sunday. She switched spots with Michael Rowe.
No, she's Iris West.
Yeah,
for anyone who
Flash.
may not know.
Yeah. So Sunday, Alexander and I had the wonderful opportunity to go see Candace. And Al, tell them what you think about Candace's panel.
Candace's
Patton's panel.
Well, full disclosure, I haven't actually watched The Flash.
Okay.
It was kind of more, hey, Josh really wanted to do this, so I was going to sit there. But
and this was your first comic book kind of panel thing ever.
Yeah,
so
true.
You were going in totally blind, not even just ever being to a panel, but also not seeing the show.
Exactly, and like I've watched like panels on YouTube and stuff from like San Diego, but it was I think the thing that threw me off the most, I guess not threw me off, but I didn't know that she was a black woman, and there were a lot of. It was very multicultural in the audience, and I guess you can say that about Comic Con just as a whole.
Right.
Just there was a lot more diversity, a lot more, it was a lot of women and a lot of men. I kind of went in and thought that it would just be like
a bunch of sweaty white dudes.
Yeah,
like fat, sweaty white guys.
Pretty much, but
with poor social skills.
Exactly, and it was, and I didn't really understand as much about the show, which is kind of ignorant of me, whatever. But
yeah, go fuck yourself.
Pretty much. But
fair enough.
No, and I'm going to start watching it now that I've seen her and saw how delightful she was.
It's a really good show.
Right.
I will give it that. Of all of them, it's the best one.
Right.
But yeah, it was really interesting to see. I know Iris West is traditionally like white, and she was not white, and I didn't expect that as much as dumb as that is, but
yeah,
I thought it was really interesting to see. I mean, she had a lot of good answers about how the production process worked and everything else, but also how she's handled that aspect of it. Not being the traditional.
I imagine
incarnation
there was
of the
probably
exactly.
Some,
That's the word. Yeah.
There was probably some pushback initially, I would imagine.
But you know what the thing is, and Al and I were both kind of looked at each other and were like fuck yeah, good for you, Candace. It was how she handled it, where she was, because one of a young lady asked her a question about how do you handle that. An African American cosplayer was asking her how do you handle that being characters that are traditionally white but you're playing them and you're a black woman, and she was like, basically in much more poise, she basically said, like, you gotta just say fuck the haters, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta just own it and just know who you are and be strong and just say fuck the haters, man. And she made the point, like you did, that look at this room, like how diverse and everything this is. And we just were like, Candace, you are pulling out your inner Beyonce right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was cool.
It was good, and at one point she said, like, it's 2016. Like, these people are the minority at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Well, and that's like, for instance, when we were at Harrisburg Comic Con and we met Katie Law that plays Nissa, and I was like, you know, if I was wondering if you had any blowback from playing a character that's a member of the LGBT community, and she said, not really, surprisingly. Yeah. And we all applauded. It was just like, yeah, that's amazing that you haven't gotten a lot of blowback
like,
from
God
that.
damn, the future is awesome.
Because the character's not like a big caricature.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in any case, that was Harrisburg Comic Con. We're talking Baltimore.
Right. And so I had the opportunity to ask Candace a question. So I posed, well, first I gave her the business for being late.
You gave her the business?
Oh, I did. I said,
you laid into her.
I was like, Candace, we were here yesterday. Where were you? And and I was like, what happened? And she's like, oh, do you mean about like being evacuated? I'm so sorry. I was like, no. I meant like I was here at like 11 waiting for you. And she was like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then I explained that Michael Rowe was okay, but he's no Candace.
Michael Rowe your boat.
Sorry, Michael Rowe your boat. But then I asked her if she could play any other character, who would she be? And she picked the White Canary because of like all the action and fighting scenes. And I was sitting there thinking like that would be kind of badass if like to have. And I didn't say this, but for 1 second I was like, oh please, I would hope if you were the White Canary that they wouldn't change the name to the Black Canary. But then I stopped it. I didn't say this out loud, but in my head I was like, oh wait, shit, the Black Canary's already the thing,
right?
Like so, I was like because we hate when comic books do that, but I was like, oh shit, that's already what it is.
Already.
Like, but she was so smart and really well
very well spoken.
Yeah, exactly what I'm going to say. Yeah, she just articulated her thoughts so well. I mean, her panel was really enjoyable.
Exactly. Well, you know, we've alluded to it a couple times, and it kind of ties into the other celebrities that were there, because there were a couple other celebrities there. Sean Astin was there, who was Lord of the Rings, Rudy, Goonies. Hodor was there, Christian Nairn. Well, in any case, what I was alluding to is that on Saturday evening, we did get evacuated. Someone must have pulled the fire alarm,
or something,
and we all got shuffled out of the building. But the door that Josh and I happened to be standing near also was the door where all of the stars were signing autographs. So we got escorted out the door and up the stairs next to Sean Astin. So Josh decided he was going to chat with him while we were being evacuated.
So while being security's like rushing him up the stairs, and we're like filing up there. I look over and I'm like, holy shit, there he is. So I'm like, hey Sean, I'm a big fan of your work. When I was in middle school, my friends used to call me Sam, like Samwise. That was like my jokey nickname. And he was like, oh, that's awesome, man. I was like, yeah, huge fan. And hey, I'll never be as cool as Rudy. And then Sean said something that really, truly... Sean, you touched my heart. He said, you are cool, man.
Uh-oh.
Rudy, whatever his character's name was in Goonies, Samwise Gamgee told me I was cool to my face.
Yeah.
And then I never saw him ever again.
No, he got thrown in the back of a car with dark tinted windows.
An Escalade or something, yeah.
And then as we were walking past, we also saw Christian Nairn, who plays Hodor on Game of Thrones, being put into his car.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should be holding the door.
Yeah.
Like that's your only thing. You're a Pokemon, and that's your only power.
Security was holding the door for him for his opening the car door for him, and I was just like, damn it! Like, hold the door. And you know what? The thing was that there was someone, we were walking and I was like, when you yelled that, the person next to us like gave kind of like a dirty look or something. Not a dirty look, but like a. And I was just like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, you don't get the joke here? Like, clearly he should be holding the door.
Yes,
like, that's like all he does.
His name is Hodor. He is a Pokemon in that show.
Yeah, yes, 100%. So also, we had the wonderful opportunity to meet Jeff Schultz.
Oh yeah, Jeff Schultz.
Last time, so we obviously met from Sit Comics. We were talking about. We reviewed their first issue of Super Suckers. We got the second issue of Super Suckers, so be expecting our review of that in an upcoming episode. Last time we got to meet Dan. Darren. Oh, sorry, Darren. Sorry.
It's all right. If you take just 3 of the letters, the shortened form of your name would be Dan.
Well, no. Anyway,
Darren Henry.
Yes, Darren. and we talked to him and everything, and it was great. So this time we got to meet Jeff, and I felt like such a dick because when we were like, "Oh, nice to meet you, Mr. Schultz." We met Darren at Harrisburg Comic Con. He was like, "Oh, did I talk to you guys? I was there too." And I was like, "Oh, damn it!"
Yeah, we must have completely missed.
Not
But you know
seen
what?
his
I don't
table.
think he was at the. I think he was at the Archie table.
Oh,
I don't think they
yeah.
were there together.
No, they weren't there together. No.
So I think we probably saw him
Right.
and was like, "Oh, Mr. Schultz," or whatever. But because they weren't actually together, we didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Or maybe they were there on different days or something.
Yeah. Although I will say, wait, wasn't Harrisburg Comic Con only one day only?
I think it was 2.
Oh, okay. What I will say though is that now we've not only talked to Jeff Schultz and Darren Henry, but we've invited both of them to come on our podcast, and both of them have seemed interested. Said, yeah, totally.
Guys, you will always be invited and honored here. And if anything, I will make you a promise right now on the air. If you come and be a guest on this show, I will buy you a 4-piece chicken McNugget from McDonald's. Not a whole value meal, so don't get too thirsty.
You get 2 nuggets each.
Yes, and this isn't one per gang. This is 4 nuggets for the 2 of you. Sauces of your choosing.
Yes.
We will provide.
You can each have your own sauce.
Yeah, if you would like a honey
and
mustard.
you can extra coat those fuckers because you only had 2 nuggets and a whole sauce.
And they're made with all white meat now, apparently. Hashtag McDonald's. Hashtag buy
Hashtag
blah, blah,
yes,
blah.
all
Hashtag
meats.
sponsored. Just kidding. No. But the final thing I want to say about Jeff, it was great meeting him. Of all the people who charge you for everything at cons, for pictures of their faces, if they're Red Power Rangers, signatures, all that kind of stuff. Jeff, I bought the book, and he's just like, "Oh, here, let me sign that for you," and just sign without even a second hesitation.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Damn, this guy is cool."
Absolutely.
You
have a signed copy of Super Suckers #2 right there.
And you know what the thing is? It's this means more to me that he went out of his way to do it than I would feel like, oh, I got a cool signature because I paid $30 for him to sign it. No, he said would you like me to do that?
Yeah, he did it for you just because
Fan service.
we were talking
Total
to him.
Fan service.
He was like, yeah, these guys are cool. It turns out they know my buddy Darren.
Yeah, so that was awesome. Speaking about some comics we obtained, Benny Boy, you want to do your quick review for a coffee that you would drink if you had a death wish?
Oh, yes, Death Wish coffee, which I know neither of you guys are really coffee people.
I tried it, but I hate coffee, so Death Wish, 0 out of 10. Sorry. No, I'm kidding. Al liked your swag.
Yeah. They gave us cool bottle openers, which was nice, and I wore the sunglasses all the way home and then all the way over to Ben's house on the way here. So
yeah.
Al, could you really quick, just super fast while he's looking over the stuff, your review on the Death Wish coffee sunglasses out of 10?
They are. Let me put them back on. I'll give them an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. Pros?
Pros, they are black, so they go with everything.
They're kind of Ray-Bandy.
Yeah, look kind of like
Wayfarers.
Ray-Bans. They're kind of the the generic branded sunglasses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But they got the awesome.
Cons,
it just says Death Wish on the side, and you got the logo.
Con?
Yeah, cons. The glare's kind of a little bad.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's necessarily because they're dirty. Oh no, they're not really that dirty. So the glare's kind of a little
There you
iffy,
go.
but overall, solid pair of sunglasses,
So you hear that, Death Wish?
especially for free.
For a coffee and comic book company, you apparently make a decent pair of sunglasses.
All right.
They need to change their shirts to coffee and comics and sunglasses.
Yeah.
And coffee and comics and sunglasses.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the next few things I'm going to say are going to be consecutively the most badass things I've ever said in my life.
Okay.
So first of all, Death Wish Coffee presents Odin Force, the comic book.
Oh, yeah.
This is their comic book. It is about a group of Vikings and like Odin and Thor and whatnot, but not the Marvel version, like the traditional Viking version.
Right.
And on the back page here, we also have the Valhalla Java Odin Force blend of their coffee, which is, and I'm quoting here, carefully crafted by the world's most powerful guitarist, Zakk Wylde. And there's also an advertisement for Zakk Wylde here, whose new album, Book of Shadows 2, is out now. That is consecutively the most badass things I've ever said in my life.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Death Wish coffee is like the strongest coffee there is, caffeine-wise. As well as far as the taste is concerned, though, it was actually super smooth. and mellow. Like, it wasn't harsh at all. I drank it black, which I only drink coffee black if it's good coffee. And I absolutely loved it. I'm going to give the coffee a 9 out of 10 because nothing's perfect. And I'm sure if I gave it a 10 out of 10, I would then take a sip of Kappa Luwak or something and be like, actually, that wouldn't be a 10 out of 10 because it has to come out of an animal's butt. But it is supposed to be good. But regardless, Death Wish, as far as like a multimedia company, because you're coffee and comic books and swag, you guys are awesome. And I was really happy to meet you guys.
Yeah. So the other thing, we also had the opportunity with another comic book independent publisher. We got to meet, and I will say, they got really annoyed when I kept calling them Zenescope.
Oh, yeah, Zenescope.
It's Zenescope, and you know what? So
we were doing it on purpose.
Oh, absolutely, I was doing it on purpose, because when you say something and someone looks like, oh, damn it, someone mispronounced our name again, of course you say it again mispronounced.
And we got to meet the nice interns of Zenescope.
The interns and a couple of other people. But yeah, they gave us a free copy of Grim Tales of Terror, number 5.
Which I gotta say, just based on the cover art, that looks like it's gonna be really scary.
Well, and to be honest, any like comic that the very first page has a panel of some dude like smoking pot and giving you the finger, you know it's gonna be a solid book.
Dude, that's not pot. That is a crack pipe.
Even better. So we'll read this one and probably give our review of it, see how it is. Pipe. And obviously, our reviews are the most important thing in the world. So,
but we haven't had a chance to read all this stuff yet. So I will let you know how good Odin Force is, and you can let us know how good Grim Tales of Terror is.
But I will say that you guys are really friendly. It was nice to meet you, and you treated Al on his first con so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you guys are from Philly too, just like Temple. So just kidding. I love Philly. So another thing, we were of course at con. You buy comics, right?
Absolutely.
At some point, you actually buy comics.
Of course.
So I was able to pick up 2 good collected editions.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to get Batman Superman World's Finest Deluxe Edition.
Nice.
So Dave Gibbons, Steve Rude. I'm gonna enjoy reading that one.
Oh wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah,
hardcover.
The hardcover. The art's really good on it. And obviously the deals are great. So I'm not gonna tell you how much I paid. That's tacky, but it was not a lot of dollars.
Wow, look at these colors too. They're really popping out.
I know. The other one I got that I'm really stoked to read because I've been looking for this for a while is the collected edition of Grant Morrison's run on Animal Man. And I, to be fair, don't know too much about Animal. I mean, I know Animal Man, but I have never read like any individual Animal Man comics. But I've heard only phenomenal things about Grant's run on Animal Man. So I'm stoked to read this and give my review for it as soon as possible.
He's kind of an asshole, right?
Yeah, he's
like a womanizer.
A little bit of an asshole.
Yeah,
and he works with Wanna Beast a lot and stuff. So these are definitely more of the obscure DC characters compared to, just having Superman or Batman or whoever show up.
Oh.
But sometimes he encounters like Mirror Master and stuff.
Fair enough. Okay, cool. Are we prepared to do our cosplay showcase?
One last shout out.
Oh, okay.
So Alex and I had the opportunity to listen to, stop at the booths of both Steel Samurai, and they were connected booths, of Steel Samurai and Master Sword, which are both bands that do like metal versions or just different versions of video game music.
Oh, sweet.
And they gave us the sample of getting to listen to their music. And Al, you tell them what you thought, because I thought they were awesome.
Yeah, it actually, it sounded, you said they were video game remixes. It sounded like that kind of style. I didn't get to listen to too much, like 30 seconds or so, but the people that were there were all in the bands and everything. They were really nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
yeah, the short bit we listened to, the music was great. The vocals were really good. The instrumentation was awesome. And I must admit, okay, so Master Sword, don't be mad. You guys are great, but I have to give it to Steel Samurai. The sticker he gave me, this logo is sweet, man.
Oh yeah,
like
it's like die-cut logo of
a samurai of some sort.
Yeah,
it's like fire.
Yeah, I hope you don't be mad if I put this sticker on like something that I used to carry beer in or something. But I'm excited for it. Free marketing.
Yeah. Now, I would be remiss as we go in to talk about cosplay to not mention the fact that you guys got a chance to play cosplay poker, right?
We had a
with
chance.
our good friends at the Comic Wow table.
Yeah, it was
So,
awesome.
for starters, it was a great time to meet all the guys at Comic Wow, and definitely check out comicwow.tv, check them out on YouTube and on Twitch, the stuff they do. And Cosplay Poker, of course, is one of their staples, and so we had the chance to meet them, and to be fair, we weren't aware of it until they told us on Saturday. We met Big Rick from the show and talked to him for a while. So when we left, we went back. I went and checked out some of the videos, some of the cosplay poker videos, and Al and I watched a few.
Yeah.
So luckily they had a table and they were doing like demonstrations, but also like demos or whatever you could play.
Yeah.
They were dealing people in all throughout the day. So on Sunday, when we got to see them again and chat with them some more, we got to get dealt in a couple times on cosplay poker.
How'd you guys do?
Al, tell them how we did.
I didn't do too well. I kind of said, hey, there were 3-round games.
Okay.
And we went into it knowing that, so I kind of didn't play as conservatively or as smart as I would have normally. But the point of the game, obviously, is to win, and then if you lose a hand, then basically, the winner gets to decide, somebody to put on a cosplay item.
It's essentially
okay.
reverse strip poker.
Exactly.
So they have a box of props?
Yeah, they had a whole table full of props with anything from boas to, at one point I was wearing a unicorn horn.
Oh, nice.
To strap around my head.
A Viking helmet, as we tweeted out.
Yes, we just tweeted out a photo, or a video, I believe.
So the really bad players, as you continue to lose, you become more and more of an obscure character?
Yeah.
Yeah, the second game I had 3 different hats on. It wasn't really we started out with a Viking hat.
Yeah.
And then on one horn I had a fez.
Okay.
And then on the other horn I had it was one of those hats with a little propeller thing on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they just give, one kid had a Bane mask and a boa on, a big pink boa on.
Oh, you see, now we got to develop characters based around those costumes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? That would be cool. Is that after whatever you end up being is
You have to write
a comic about
a 3-panel
story,
news strip comic.
That would be that'd be pretty cool. But
about the weird nerdy Viking.
What did I end up being?
And Bane.
I don't remember what you were.
I had to. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what I had to wear. I was so flabbergasted by your wonderful Viking helmet that I had to wear a big pair of sunglasses, which by the way were unusually uncomfortable. But they weren't as good as Death Wish coffee sunglasses,
Of course.
but they weren't bad per se. But yeah, we had a great time hanging out and chatting with those guys. Really check out their show. It was fun. I certainly was like, holy shit, I would love to play cosplay poker again. It was cool.
Although I will say they also had a giant Deadpool that people were taking pictures with.
Yeah, this is
And when I
fun.
first came around the corner, out of the corner of my eye, they happened to be taking a picture right at that moment. So I thought it was just a guy in a really good Deadpool costume who was holding still. And then when the other 2 people walked away and he was still in the same pose, I'm like, oh, I'm a dumb person.
Yeah.
That's a statue.
Well, and to be fair, it was that would have been a totally jacked, legitimately the body of an actual superhero kind of guy.
Absolutely.
In a cosplay. And you know what? They were nice enough to give us. So during the game of cosplay poker, they have
the dealer chips.
Yeah, well, they have the chips, but then this is the special token that.
Yeah, it's a dealer token, whatever.
Yeah.
See, I'm not an avid poker player. So.
Yeah, they usually have these to pass around, but it's not anything as intricate.
Yeah, it's heavy, full metal.
Well, they gave us
you guys got to tweet a picture of that out.
Legit cosplay poker versions. Thank you guys so much. It was awesome. We had a blast playing with you all. Sorry if we were lingering around your table, but to be honest, we were like, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna linger.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The guys were cool.
They were cool. And the girls. They were cool too.
Yes.
That's
a pretty
Sarah
cool costume.
and the ones we met. Yeah, they were all cool.
But it was a really fun game. Something that I was kind of unsure about going in.
Right.
The videos don't do it justice even.
Right.
Yeah.
But
well, they do. They not as it's not. You mean they don't do it the justice of actually being there playing.
Exactly.
Yeah, just if you go to a concert, it's different than just watching a music video of a band. You know what I mean?
Valid. Exactly valid.
Right.
Yeah, and they had some things they handed us. Some things coming up. They have a bar crawl coming up.
And you know what? I think Strong and the Geek might be attending the bar crawl.
Yeah.
So if you guys are in the Baltimore area, come out and join us.
We might have to figure out where
It's
to
October
sign up.
1st on Saturday.
Yeah.
I probably won't end up being there, but I know Josh and Ben will be there.
Yeah, it's a cosplay bar crawl, so superheroes versus supervillains. You come in your cosplay or just nerdy apparel. There's going to be lots of drink stuff going on. $10, that's really cheap. And it's at Power Plant, which is, if you've never been there, is an awesome place in Baltimore.
Yeah, and I mean, just listen to this. We got karaoke, trivia, dance party, and red carpet photos, as well as a costume contest and drink specials. So there's your commercial, Comic Wow. Give us our money. Kidding, obviously.
Their other show, which I haven't had the chance to look up yet, though, is about them doing kind of like tabletop gaming kind of stuff, like D&D.
Oh yeah, Epic Quest.
Yeah, and we haven't checked that one out yet, but we definitely will check it out and see what that's like. Which kind of remembers back in the day, like when we would play those tabletop games with our older brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fucking sucked at them.
Well, we were kids at the time.
Yeah, but I mean, even as a kid,
now we get into character.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like when I'd roll it. I just have bad luck rolling d20s.
Yeah.
I just always roll like a 1 or a 2.
Yeah. So now let's talk about some of our cosplay people. That
Are
we
you
saw.
saying it's time for the Strong and Geek unofficial cosplay contest? Chicka chicka.
Bo bo.
Oh, this is the part where you make a sound effect.
Oh, that was a good one.
Oh,
Oliver, that was like a.
That was the first thing that came to my head.
That was like
I was not
good.
expecting to make.
That was
sound
like one of
effect
those happy fart sounds.
we
Like,
make
I was thinking one of like the whistle kind of things.
yeah. Oh,
but-
like. Pew!
Yeah.
Dude, we don't use any of that soundboard shit. These are all real sound effects.
Yeah, we're
Each
all
one is
we're
unique.
all like what's his name? Michael Winslow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or who's the dude who sings "Don't Worry, Be Happy"? Bobby
Oh,
McFerrin.
Bobby
yeah.
McFerrin.
Yeah, like Bobby
Boom.
McFerrin. Yeah.
Boom.
All right, so right out the gate, here are the rules. We just name all the We're gonna just name all the different cosplays we saw that we thought were cool. We'll tweet out different pictures or whatever, and then pretty much we say fuck it and pick one we like the most.
Yeah.
And that person wins the wonderful 2 claps from me. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so let's talk about some of the cool cosplay we saw. I met a girl early on in the show. She was actually standing next to a guy that you thought was cool wearing a Sora costume, but I was immediately taken back by hers because you guys know how big of a Witcher fan I am, and she was dressed as Triss Marigold from the Witcher series, and her costume was exactly on point. Looked just like the character from the game. She even had like emerald green contact lenses and leather pouches and whatnot for all of her stuff. Also, she told me that she does a podcast called Final Encounter Cast. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but shout out to Triss Marigold and Final Encounter Cast.
Hopefully, if I listen to it, I can have other encounters though. I don't want it to be my last encounter.
Yeah, she said it's like more mostly a gaming podcast.
Cool. We like games.
So Triss, loved your costume. What do you got?
So I would be remiss if I
Nair.
I would be nair if I didn't mention your comment on seeing Shazam. Well, man, fuck you. We already saw Captain Marvel, the real Captain Marvel.
He was there.
So he's a bodybuilder
And the nicest guy.
Oh, he was so nice. He was a bodybuilder who made his own Captain Marvel costume, and we'll tweet out a picture. But my man, it was literally flawless.
Yeah. I mean, he's got kind of a baby face, but with a strong jaw. He looks exactly like what you would think
Right.
Shazam should look like.
Honestly, he really was reminiscent of the Kingdom Come Shazam.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The hand oil painted.
Absolutely.
And what a nice dude too.
Yeah.
Like, you always imagine Captain Marvel being a nice guy in real life, and what do you know?
Yeah.
It worked
He
out.
went for the New 52 kind of look with the hood and everything.
Right.
And just absolutely perfect.
It was really cool. Al, what do you think?
I really liked. There was a guy that we didn't really get to talk to because he was so popular. He was like every time I saw him walking around, he was taking
Right.
pictures of somebody else. There was a guy. I assume his costume was probably homemade because I've never seen anything like it.
Oh,
But,
no. Yeah, go ahead. Ben and I got to talk to this guy.
Oh, you did get to talk
on
to him.
We got
Saturday.
to talk
on
to him,
Saturday.
yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Every time we saw him on Sunday, he was taking a picture with somebody else, and I didn't get to talk to him. But it was Darth Vader. But he kind of put his own spin on it, and it was like the burnt up Darth Vader mask. And
Oh,
his
yeah,
entire
the whole
mask
suit
and
was messed
costume.
up.
Right,
Yeah.
kind of like if they pulled it out of the fire at the end of
Yeah, there
Return
were
of the
like
Jedi.
wires
Yeah.
sticking out
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah, it was just incredible. Looked like it came straight out of the movie.
Right.
And then he was also there with the guy that looked just like Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Who was dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi from
the Clone Wars.
the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah.
with like battle damage on the armor
Right.
plates of his. So they looked really good together.
And the cool thing was when we did get to see Darth Vader when he took his helmet off, he had the red contacts in, well, like the reddish orangish contacts in, like
Yeah.
Anakin has in
Mhm.
Revenge of the Sith, and that was awesome to really go in it above and beyond what you need to for the Darth Vader costume, because he had the underneath the costume also.
You know, when we were standing around talking to him, we also met two guys that were there hanging out together that were dressed in awesome costumes. I'm talking about the guy who was Duke Nukem
Oh yeah.
and the guy who was Lobo. Remember the two of them there
Oh,
together?
yeah.
So,
Yeah, actually, it's Phil Duke Maggio.
now
And-
he's a professional cosplayer.
Yeah.
And Duke Nukem is his character. His hair is that color now. It's
Yeah.
not a false dye he puts in. His hair happens to be neon yellow all the time.
Right, and this guy literally looks straight like Duke Nukem.
Yeah. In fact, he told us that he was at the gym and he was working out, and his wife told him that he was sweating yellow because he had just done a dye and some of it was running out, and he was like, "Well, good."
Yeah.
But he was there, and so was a guy dressed as Lobo who was totally in character.
Had the cigar,
Yeah.
like a light up cigar.
Yeah,
whatever.
both of them had cigars that were, I think they said the company's called Vepa, and they make like cosplay vapes. So like for different characters, if you want to have it, like a vape for a costume.
Right.
And yeah, it was just solid craftsmanship on their costumes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So another I saw that was really good was I saw Mira from Aquaman, and so her costume was great. We kind of joked around that she was like, "Thank you so much for knowing I'm Mira. Everybody keeps asking me if I'm like the Little Mermaid and like who stole her dad's Triton or something."
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, "No, you're Mira, obviously." But even like her costume was awesome. But she was also there showing off her paper mache Gyarados, the Pokemon that she made,
Oh,
and
yeah.
this thing was huge and like unbelievably well done. She said it took 100 hours to make the whole thing, which seems
Wow.
really quick for me.
Yeah,
'cause
that
this
thing was like what, like 8 feet tall?
It had to be at least 7. It was huge.
Yeah.
It was spot on, and it had little wheels so it could roll around.
Yeah. Was she trying to sell it, or was it just?
No, I think she was just taking it with
just
her. 'cause
showing it off?
Mira controls the oceans, and
Yeah,
so-
fair enough. And if anyone's gonna have a Gyarados, it's probably her. She also mentioned that she's only 50 Magikarp candies away from having a Gyarados in Pokemon Go,
right,
which
is,
means she's caught a shitload of Magikarps.
yeah, I have 85 Magikarp candies right now. So, now Al,
That's
any others you would like to mention?
yeah. I don't. You probably remember their names. I feel bad. I don't remember their names.
Okay, what cosplay were they?
But they it was 2 girls, 2 women played Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, Kate and Natalie from Conjure Corps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
We follow
Shout out
them on-
Conjure Corps.
Yes, we follow them on Instagram. They've done a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, they were both Captain America and Winter Soldier, and we sat and talked to them for probably 10-15 minutes.
Right.
And
And their costumes were spot on.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, the Captain America, she went with, interestingly enough, she wore a wig and like did the thing so that the hair was hanging out of the wig, but of course it was a blonde wig because Steve Rogers is blonde, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the Winter Soldier was also very spot on. She had the plating over her arm to have the metal arm.
Yep.
She had the gun and everything. And we actually made a joke about them. We were talking to them, Ben, about how you cosplayed as Tina, and how you wore a skirt and how you loved it and all that kind of stuff. And we made the joke about
Felt right.
we made the joke about you not having of course. We made the joke about you not having pockets and how you were like kind of panicking at the hell.
I wore gym shorts
No, but
underneath my skirt.
Thanks to me, my
Yeah, so that
suggestion.
I'd have pockets.
So I told them that. I made that joke, and she was like, "Oh, that's why you have to incorporate ways to hold things into your costume." So she talked about how she had like this like bag thing made Captain America to like keep her stuff in because she was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, no, there's no pockets on this."
Exactly. And,
She just put a pocket inside her shield.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
yeah, and the Winter Soldier had like a utility belt that she had fashioned to
Yeah.
hold her phone and hold everything else.
Nice.
Yeah, and they are actually they're a duo from DC, and they do a lot of cosplay stuff, conventions, all that kind of stuff around there. So I don't think they said they'd ever been to the Harrisburg area, but they should check out Harrisburg Comic Con.
Absolutely.
Give it some more street cred for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another one that I ran into that I was a big fan of was Scarecrow and Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, Scarecrow and Harley Quinn. You were great too.
Harley Quinn was great too, but the Scarecrow costume was
Wow.
It was very, very
Yeah.
intricate.
I'm showing Al right now, and Al just was like, "Oh fuck, man."
That, you know
Yeah,
what the thing
that's
is? We
insane.
stood around talking to them for what, like 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
We had a really long conversation with them. He was very, they're both very insightful. Actually, she is in school for filmmaking, I believe.
Mhm.
And so they both had really good points on things. Her and I were talking about Suicide Squad for a while.
Right.
And how she thought it was the worst movie ever made.
Okay.
Which I wouldn't say it was the worst, but you guys heard my review on it. I wasn't a huge fan.
No, I wasn't either. It's okay.
That's all right.
It wasn't a terrible movie. It was like a movie that if you scrolled through the channels and saw it, then you'd be like, okay, let's watch Suicide Squad. But I would never seek it out to watch.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
be like, yeah, let's watch Suicide Squad. You know.
But in any case,
Sorry, off topic.
No, totally fine. But Scarecrow, his costume was so unnerving to talk to him because he was just like a regular guy. He had some really good insights on a lot of things,
Right.
Especially Batman: The Killing Joke. We talked to him for a while,
Yeah.
but I couldn't look him in the eye because his mask was so good.
Yeah.
He had blended the makeup so that you couldn't see where the mask ended and his eyes began.
Yeah.
And then he had these orange contacts in, which were just so unnerving.
Eerie.
When he looked
Eerie.
at you, you just looked down. You didn't want to make eye contact with him.
Well, it's funny is I did a so we did a pseudo. I asked him a few questions and videotaped him just to see what it looks like, him talking and stuff. And I must admit, yeah, I went back and rewatched the video. It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, right.
Well, good on you, dude. Your suit was flawless.
And you know what? Again, we actually talked about it as we were walking away, how insightful his opinion on Batman: The Killing Joke was, the animated film.
Right, yeah.
And the motivation of Batman and why it was so poorly put together. Something we didn't even think about when we did our review of it. Smart guy.
Right.
Very smart guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. So another thing I want to mention that was just awesome was when we were walking. I'm just mentioning a whole bunch of cosplays all at once.
The group photo.
So there was a group photo of they just kept getting all the DC characters, just a huge DC group photo, and so we obviously snapped a pic, and some of them in there. So obviously, no offense, you see a lot of Batmans and Harley Quinns and all that sort of thing. But when I was going back and looking through, there were a few I noticed that we didn't get as good a look at in the first glance. But so, for example, one guy did Nightwing, and his Nightwing was incredibly good. Straight out of the fan movie project of Nightwing that's been being worked on. Yeah, his Nightwing was out of this world.
We actually have two different Lobos just in a hair's breadth from each other,
Yeah.
which is cool. You don't see a lot of Lobos.
No, you do not see a lot of Lobos. We also had...
That red hood was fantastic.
There was a red hood that was very cool. And also, I loved... I've never seen someone do Lex Luthor in his power armor, and there was one, and his power armor was awesome. It was a great Luthor.
We got an Aquaman that looked like a traditional comic book Aquaman,
Yes.
and we had a guy that looked
Jason
just
Momoa.
like Jason Momoa.
There was Hot Girl, and she even did the mask so that way it had the white over the eyes so she could see through. That was very cool. And one, I will say, you always see so many Harley Quinns, but I had never seen a Dr. Harleen Quinzel. And she even did the badge, so it looked like an actual hospital badge, and it had her actual face on it and her, all the stuff. So that was very cool. And the last one I want to mention from the picture, the whole gang, was I've never seen this before. Someone did a fucking Mr. Terrific, and I thought it was terrific.
He was spot on.
He was
good.
mean
Mean mugging all those pictures.
I was just like, oh my goodness, I've never seen someone do Mr. Terrific before.
There was also a Black Manta that I saw in there. You don't see Black Manta almost ever.
And of course, Joker with his face torn off.
Yeah. There was a Plastic Man in there.
You know my feelings on Plastic Man's costume.
There was a Batman who had extendable wings,
Right.
much like the Christopher Nolan glidey suit.
Yeah, or the 1989 Michael Keaton.
Oh, right. Yeah, actually, much more like that one. Come to think of it, it was there were a lot of really good cosplayers in that group photo.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there was a lot that weren't in that photo,
Right.
but just to see them all together, and our man Shazam was there in there as well.
Yeah, and there's going to be a bajillion cosplays that we saw that we probably will not have the chance to mention on the air, so sorry if we forget you.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're not mentionable.
Now, you also saw a Charizard, right?
We did. So we saw Al and I saw Charizard, and funny story, so it was Katie, I want to say Ko is how you
It's
pronounce
definitely Co.
It's Ko? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, Katie, we met you at Harrisburg Comic Con. You were Gambit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so...
And we went on about how her costumes are very detailed and
so good,
really,
right?
really good.
Well, her Charizard was phenomenal. It was really, really great. But funny thing that happened was that, so we walked by, and she was walking behind us in her Charizard, and we told her, like, oh, your Charizard costume is so awesome, and then we kept walking, and I told Al, I was like, I definitely have met her before. Like, I definitely know her, and he was just like, fuck you, no you don't.
That's actually what I said. Fuck you, no you don't.
But I was like, no, I definitely follow her on Twitter, and like I looked it up, and sure enough, it was her, and I was like, yeah, that's the girl, and I showed him like the pic of her as Gambit on her Instagram. I was like, yeah, that's her. Mm-hmm. So later on, when we saw her, we had to talk again, and I apologize for forgetting her, and it turns out, it sounded like she definitely remembered my face. Like
she did, yeah.
She totally remembered me.
We talked to her for quite some time at Harrisburg Comic Con.
So, Katie, my bad, but truthfully, I am a huge dick, so.
Yeah. Huge dick.
No. But more importantly, your Charizard costume was out of this world. It was awesome.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Now, I saw 2 different father-daughter team-ups, which were awesome.
Right.
The first one was Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, Ant-Man and the Wasp are together, but...
Right.
But I guess if they're going by the movie, it could have been
we'll say
Michael Douglas.
For the sake of avoiding pedophilia and incest, yes, it's Michael Douglas.
It was Michael Douglas in the Ant-Man
yes.
costume. So Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, the Wasp, she was a little girl, maybe like 6 or 7 years old, and she's cute walking around with her little ways. But the Ant-Man costume was perfect. It was like movie quality. Even like I shook his hand and he had done the little buttons on the glove.
Yeah.
Like that's attention to detail.
Which is
right
important,
there.
yeah.
The other one though, I gotta say, was one of my favorite costumes of the con. Which the funniest thing about it is the guy didn't even know who he was supposed to be. He was just there to support his daughter and the thing that the geekiness that she's into. And I hope that I can be that dad.
Right.
Because it was Jim Gordon and Batgirl Barbara Gordon.
And they looked like unbelievably well done. The Batgirl costume was out of this world, but his Gordon was also great.
That's actually what caught our eye because I've never once seen a Jim Gordon cosplay.
Yeah. And what's funny is that I asked him, like, what do you do? And he was like, oh, I'm a lawyer or something. And I was like, no, damn it. When someone asks you that, you say, I'm a police commissioner.
And he looked at her and goes, oh, you got to tell me who I am.
Yeah, like, I'm a police, come on, now I'm a police commissioner.
I did have an accidental moment where I sounded creepy and I didn't mean to. We were handing out cards and I looked at her and I said, how old are you? And Jim Gordon shot you a look, and you were like, oh, he's not being creepy. And I was like, no. It's just we have our show has a lot of adult content, and I want to make sure that you have permission from your dad to listen to this.
To be fair, Jim Gordon didn't even have to shoot me the look. The second Ben said it, I was like, God damn it, dude, what are you doing?
Oh, I was trying to think of a way to word that doesn't sound creepy.
Right.
Other than, like, our show isn't for kids. How old are you? Maybe, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, or like, oh, we do this podcast. However, just warning you, it's probably not PG. It's PG-13.
Yeah, because in hindsight, I was thinking like, well, I wouldn't want to say like, are you a legal adult or like, are you still a minor?
Yeah.
All of those things sound creepy. I think how old are you is the least creepy of.
What do you think, Al? What was that? Do you think if
someone asked, that's the least creepy.
If someone asked your daughter,
I guess the creepiest would be like, "Are you legal yet?" That would be the creepiest.
To be fair, okay, I mean, and you got to give Jim some credit there. I mean, if someone went up and you in front of your daughter and said like to ask your daughter in front of you, "How old are you?" I mean, unless they have like a whole lot of balls or really don't give a shit, it's probably not a sex thing.
Right?
Like,
absolutely.
Not in front of their dad. You don't ask that.
Yeah.
So.
I think it also, like, the age matters, If they look like maybe, like, 16, 17, 18, that's, like, weirder than if they were, like, 2 or 3.
Right, exactly. Well, and in her case, it was super hard to tell because she was wearing a Batgirl costume.
And a mask.
So,
and a mask.
It turns out she was 14 years old. So if you are listening to this, Jim Gordon, I hope that you gave her permission to.
But your costume was awesome.
Yeah, your costumes are also, like, super on point. It wasn't just the fact that it was cute to see a father-daughter, cosplay together.
Yeah. And I must admit though, when we snapped some pics got the pics of you and your dad, Your eyes are closed in them, so way to fuck up our pictures. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Yours are closed, though.
Another really cool one that we saw, but is completely impractical, was the Warhammer soldier
Oh, yeah.
suit. This guy was gigantic. He was on stilts, and his armor was built out, so he was like wide. You know what I mean? Because the characters, the model of them is that they're in a power armor that is
Right.
gigantic. But the thing is, just to watch him walk around, he couldn't. He just was dragging his feet.
Yeah.
The suit was really good, but he could only pose in it and then basically take it off and go do other things.
Right.
Just like the Towley or the Blastoise that we saw, which were made by the same guy and made by regular household things. I think he said the Blastoise he made out of a couch,
Yeah.
and Towley was made out of real towels. Those ones were a little bit easier to move in than the Warhammer, obviously, but again, they were kind of bigger, bulkier costumes.
But I would say I do love about Tally because he was totally a character. He did the voice and stuff.
I asked him if he knew where to get any weed, and he said, "Oh man, do you have any?" And I was like, "No, that's why I asked you, man. I'm sorry." Oh shit. He was
All right,
very good.
All right then, gentlemen. Sorry, like I mentioned, sorry anybody if we met you and forgot to mention you. We will think of you. But I think that time has come. Who do you choose as your winner for the 2016 Baltimore Comic Con Strong and the Geek # Real Talk # Strong and the Geek # Cosplay Contest Victor?
Wow, that was a lot of things.
Yeah.
For me personally, I gotta go with Scarecrow. His costume was very intricate. It was scary.
Yeah.
I've never been, other than our friend the Doctor that we met at Harrisburg Comic Con.
Right.
I've never been scared by a cosplay before.
Yeah.
But his wasn't as much scary as that. Like, it was that kind of uncanny valley thing.
Right.
Like, I couldn't look him in the eye. It made me feel like what's the word?
Shit in your
Disconcerted.
Shit in your
Yeah.
pants?
No, like it was upsetting to look him in the eye.
Yeah.
I had to keep like glancing down as I was talking to him.
We're like, God, how does Batman do this shit?
Yeah, like, oh, he doesn't even need fear toxin.
Yeah.
So for me, it was Scarecrow, man. It was
All right.
awesome.
Al?
This is kind of tough, but I think I'm gonna have to go. Second place is Charizard,
Okay.
but first place was the Darth Vader that I talked about.
Oh, beat up Darth Vader.
Beat up
that
Vader.
one was a very good costume.
And I think he gets bonus points just because he didn't do the traditional Darth Vader, just
Right.
the one that
Well,
you
to
could
be
go
fair,
out and buy in a Halloween store.
She didn't do the traditional Charizard.
That's true, but
She wasn't actually a dragon, dude.
Well,
damn. No, we got you.
But
But
yeah, he put a
he
good
put-
spin on it.
exactly,
Yeah.
he made it his own costume.
Yeah.
It's not something you could go out to Spirit Halloween and purchase.
Right.
Which hopefully most cosplayers don't do.
Well,
Yeah,
and-
but it's not
Right.
just a generic
Well,
take.
yeah.
you know
he
what,
put
and-
his own spin, his own take on it.
But at
and
the
that-
same time, it was a believable take. Where a lot of times
Yeah.
people take they take Darth Vader and they take Thor
Or
and they do an amalgam, which is fine if that's what you're into. But to see someone that they took an established character and they were just like, well, what do we get after if Darth Vader out in a combat situation?
exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, like people do Boba Fett and Elsa all the time. I think that's fucking stupid.
yeah. But we saw, for instance, Harrisburg Comic Con, we saw the Baconator,
That was
which was
cool.
just a guy in a strip of bacon costume, but then he did battle damage on him, and he had a bandolier.
Yeah, like Terminator and Bacon put together.
So
That's
he
great.
was
That's
the
actually, that's
Baconator.
really funny.
That's a clever costume.
I like the puns.
Right.
For me, I'm gonna have to go Gordon and Barbara.
Yeah.
I loved their costumes were so good. The father-daughter dynamic was great. And you know what? It cracked me up so much that he had no fucking clue who Jim Gordon is. And it's not part of the costume per se. So I guess actually it's reverse good cosplay. It's actually shitty cosplay. He wasn't a character,
I mean,
but he tried so hard.
well, and the thing is, the time, the effort, the money. I mean, her costume
Yeah.
was really intricate.
yeah,
That he put into just doing something with his kid.
yeah.
You gotta give credit to
Yeah.
that.
Also, they were sweet costumes.
Absolutely. So there you have it. We saw some really great stuff at Comic-Con this year.
Baltimore freaking Comic Con.
Yeah, and anything that we may have missed out, we're really sorry. Just send us a message and remind us that we talked to you because, like we said, it was just a big, long thing.
And even that, just follow us on all the stuff we talked about. Like, we hand you our card, check us out, follow us and stuff, and message us anything. If you just want to say, like, oh, this is your podcast, it's fucking stupid. That's awesome. We love emails.
Emails, shoot us a tweet.
Dick pics.
We're going to make an Instagram here pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, that will be coming in the near future. We were told by, and shout out again to Master Sword and them, they told us, like, what the hell are you guys doing? Get an Instagram. So, guys, we'll take your word for it.
We're going to do it.
We're going to make some Instagram crackers. Now, let's end this show the way we end all shows.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we really should, because this is a long one.
Yeah. Let's talk about our Geek of the Week. Or our Clash of the Titans.
We don't end it with Geek of the Week.
Clash of the Titans!
Damn it.
Now, last week, we had our first fatal four-way of vampire hunters. And on Twitter, we were at a dead heat. So we started asking around in the Comic Con to get some extra votes.
Right.
And I gotta say, you were right.
Woo!
It was Wesley Snipes.
Every time I win, an angel gets a beer.
Wow, there's a lot of drunk angels in heaven.
I don't win that much, but thanks.
So Wesley Snipes as Blade won out over Abe, Buffy, and Van.
Yeah, so screw you guys. Win for me. All right. Alexander, since you are the guest, would you like to introduce our Clash of the Tights this week? Who do we got?
All right, Josh and I kind of discussed this, and we came up with who would win between Donald Trump cosplaying Hillary Clinton,
Okay.
or Hillary Clinton cosplaying Donald Trump.
So this is a 2016 presidential election Comic Con twist battle.
It's the most
Now, hang
topical
on.
thing we can come up with.
Is this an actual fight, or is this a debate
This
where
is a
they're
fight
pretending
this-
to beat each other?
This is a fight to the death.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, and this isn't a politically biased thing. This is literally just, we thought, oh, dude, have them swap and then fight to the death.
Okay, you see, I thought you were saying, like, on a debate stage, if she's pretending to be him and he's pretending to be her.
No, absolutely not. This is like
It's
them
an
fighting.
actual fight.
A battle.
Okay, well,
Deathmatch.
here's how I think this is going to go. Hillary Clinton always has something up her sleeve. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she can get out of anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They try to pin her down with stuff, and she gets out of it.
Right.
And I think that's going to translate to her battle ability.
Right.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, always shows his hand.
He does.
You know what I mean? He's going to come.
His little hands.
His little hands.
His little hands.
So he's going to... Now, if he's strong, he can put a lot of force. That's pounds per square inch on that tiny little
like
fist.
Ant-Man.
True.
But, that being said... she's going to see all those shots coming because he's going to be like, oh, now I'm going to punch you with my right. And she's like,
It's going to be the best punch we ever
yeah,
got.
and she's like, thank you for the advice. Here's some secret emails. Except instead of emails, it's a dagger to the ribs.
But the thing is that remember, they're playing
the other.
Ooh,
other.
that's right.
Yeah, if it's just Donald v. Hillary, I don't know. But when it's Donald as Hillary versus Hillary as Donald, then things get a little dicier.
In that case, I think that he won't be able to do it. He'll just be like, oh, I'm really bad at emails. Like, he won't know how to pretend to be anyone other than himself.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
But she'll be a chameleon.
All right, let's see.
You know what I mean?
Al?
She changes no matter whatever it is. That's one of the things people say about her, right?
Al, your take?
See, I'm thinking kind of what you said. Donald Trump would just completely just make a mockery of it. He wouldn't actually take it seriously. If he had to be Hillary Clinton, he'd walk up and be like, oh, hi, I'm Crooked Hillary. You know?
Yeah.
He wouldn't even call himself Hillary. Whereas Hillary Clinton would dress up and she'd have, everything, but she would, she's the type of person that obviously wants to win more than anything else, especially after being, denied in 2008 and everything else. So I think that she would take Donald Trump's liberties with, say the nuclear codes and everything else, and she would not have any problem just nuking the shit out of Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
And just playing it off as, oh yeah, Donald, blah, blah, and just being very
she would get
liberal
into
with
character.
just, oh yeah, totally.
But
And
use it to
that,
her ends.
Exactly.
Okay,
That's my thinking.
I agree with you on that.
I'm going to
I
actually.
just am laughing about how dumb this matchup is.
This is the best one. I'm going to take a different turn on here. So you say Hillary is Donald. You say Hillary is Donald.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it'll be Hillary Trump.
Guys,
not Donald
Donald
Clinton.
Clinton.
I'm going to have to say Donald Clinton.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Here's my take. I think that Hillary Trump is going to get into the character. She's going to build a wall. She's going to insult a bunch of people and then take it back and then say, but I wasn't really taking it back. All that sort of stuff. But Donald is going to go all in because he interprets things literally. He's going to go in, if he's actually being crooked Hillary, he's going to come in there like actually crooked, maybe like walking on one leg. Like his cosplay is going to be more than just him dressed up as Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
It's going to be like a weird, deep, demonic, like, because he called her the devil.
He's going to be like the Darth Vader wearing explosive arms.
Yeah,
he's going to think outside the box.
He thinks Hillary Clinton's the devil. He's coming there as like the devil with like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and we took all your gun rights away. Now I have your guns, bitches. Like he's gonna come full force, and she's just gonna come dressed as Donald Trump. I think that he has the resources to obtain anything he would fucking need to do that. I'm gonna have to say I think Donald Clinton might pull this one out.
You think he's going to
See,
have all the
now
guns?
that you say that, I kind of had another thought. He's called her the founder of ISIS, founder of everything
He
else.
might bring ISIS with him.
He might bring ISIS.
Ooh.
He might call up ISIS.
Yeah.
So then do we want ISIS to win?
No.
Wait.
Well,
Well, we do, but no.
I-
Hold on. And by the way, the NSA, I don't actually want ISIS to win.
Yeah.
No, I still think that Hillary Clinton playing as Donald Trump would win because you can't beat a nuke.
Right.
But if he say something went wrong with the codes or anything else, and he sent in ISIS, if ISIS got close enough, throw some car bombs or anything else in there, that could potentially be problematic.
How do you throw a car bomb?
Throw in some car bombs.
Oh, gotcha.
Although I think introducing ISIS into the formula then becomes like it's the Joker card. You know what I mean? Like they're just a force of
wild card.
Yeah,
bitches.
they're just like a force of chaos. So you have a battle going on, and it's like, you know what? We'll bring ISIS in here, and they'll back us up. But then ISIS gets there, and they're like, no, we're gonna kill all the people.
It's kind of like the Hunger Games where they have like the computer board, and they just like press the ISIS button, and
Yeah,
ISIS falls
absolutely.
Right.
Well, I was just thinking like anytime in Batman that some villain like Black Mask thinks that he can use the Joker to his ends,
Yeah.
the Joker always turns on him
Right.
and just makes his own thing. ISIS is the Joker.
So are we saying win ISIS? Are we going with win? Are we going to go with win ISIS?
I think if Donald Trump
I still think
brings,
it'll be Hillary Trump.
All right, Ben says Hillary Trump.
I say Hillary Trump.
All right, and I say Donald Clinton.
Slash ISIS.
No, he brought in ISIS.
No.
All right, so I think that about does it. We've gone long over our mark, but who gives a shit? That does it for another exciting edition of The Strong and the Geek.
Thank you, Al, for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Al.
Thank
You're
you,
always welcome on the show.
Not Sir Patrick Stewart.
Of course, I am not him.
Do not engage.
You will, Al, thank you for also helping us with our Instagram that we will be forming up here. Make sure you check that out. It'll probably be at Strong and Geek or something like that. We'll have pictures.
Yeah, we'll tweet out the details. Make sure you check us out: iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of the other websites.
Email.
Yeah, you can email us at the strong and the geek at gmail.com.
Follow him.
At the Ben Ramirez on Twitter.
Follow me.
At Ramrez for Prez on Twitter.
And you can also follow Al.
That's A Robinson PSU.
And remember, if any of you need a journalist out there or a photographer, hit up Al. He really wants a job.
Yeah, hit me up.
He's like, yeah, no, I'll accept that. That's totally fine.
Please.
Join us next week when we'll have another exciting edition. But in the meantime, you all stay strong.
And
stay geek.
Yeah, he did it! Woo! Chicka chicka.
Bo. Post-credit song.
It's me, Donald Trump, post-credit scene. This isn't a good accent, but we need ISIS to stop Hillary.
That was Russian Trump. Bo.